Hello, my name is David Miles. I've been teaching electronics for 16 years. This video is a basic, quick, straight to the point attempt to show you exactly how to measure voltage during laboratory experiments. Okay, in order to take a voltage reading, first you need to make sure that the multimeter is set up properly. Second, you need to make sure the circuit under test is set up properly. And third, you need to make sure that the connectors or the probes are set properly on your multimeter. First thing we want to do is set up the multimeter. The multimeter probe should be to the red. We take the red and we put it to the volts. We also want to make sure that the black lead is in the common. The next thing on the multimeter to set this up is to put it in the volts position. Notice there's two V's. One has a squiggly line above it and one has a straight line. Well, the squiggly line is for AC, so when we study AC, we'll talk about the voltage not position with the squiggly line. Right now we're going to look at the volts with the straight line, which means DC. So we put the multimeter there. And the next thing we'll be doing is going to the circuit under test to make sure it's set in the proper position. For a voltage test, the proper setup is with power on. Go ahead and turn power on. Okay, the next thing we need to do is make sure that the probes are in the right position. To measure voltage, you measure across the parts. So if I want to measure across resistor 3, I put the probes across resistor 3. If I want to measure across R2, measure its voltage, you put the probes across R2. And the same with R1. If you want to measure total voltage, what you do is measure from the positive position on your trainer to ground. Okay, and to summarize measuring voltage with a multimeter, make sure that every time you put the red probe on the volts position, make sure that somebody didn't accidentally leave it on the milliamp position. So make sure it's on volts. Next, the circuit under test has to have the power on. And finally, make sure the probes are placed in parallel with the component under test.